like for the one quilt that I did, the Scrappy Lady quilt, I use beads, I use trim. I did all kinds of embellishments that probably normally you don't see in quilts. And now I'm finding, and I can't think of her name right now. It's a lady who does creative, I think it's called creative sewing. She has these different feet that you can use on your machine for, like if you want to add pearls or if you want to add yarn. And then I saw that I didn't realize it, but even my machine, the Husqvarna, they have those pieces that you can add also if you want to add that information, those type of embellishments. So that's where I'm really getting a kick out of watching that and seeing where I can use that and how I can use it in my quilt.
Now, let me ask you a question. This is on my mind. Do you do one project at a time, or do you have a whole bunch going at the same time?
Maybe 2, 3 at the most, but that's it. Only really because, and this is where my head thinks. There's one quilt that's really, really, I know it's going to be tedious. It's going to take time, and it's going to be a while, right? Because I have to get through the creative process on it. And then there's like a quick one I can do where I sew up a couple of things, add a couple of colors. So that gets that side of my mind. It's like I'm not so bogged down in the one where it just presses me. I'm not getting it finished, but I can get quick hits done. I can I can get this done, maybe do a little bit of a little blanket or something like that, or even that, like I can go to philanthropy side and say, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of bibs for the babies for the hospital, or even a group I was in called Teeny Tears, and this is a group that deals with they call them angel babies who have not made it, and so we make different sets for them, one that the mother and father puts on the baby, and then one for they get to keep as a memorial for the baby.
You cut out. What? Tell me the name of the group again.
Teeny Tears.
Teeny Tears.
T-E-E-N-Y. Yeah.
And they're making clothing for the babies that didn't make it. Is that what you're saying? Are they blankets too?
Right, and it's all over the U.S. now.
That's amazing.
You can, and they have a Facebook site.
Interesting. That's really great.
Yeah.
How important is the charity quilting to you? It's such a big part of such a big part of our quilting world. Tell me a little bit more why it's important to you.
Everything I have done from a creative side, or even just me, my motto is always leave someone or something off better than when you got there, right? Yeah. And so I come from a very strong background of helping others, no matter what, even if it's sharing a meal, going to say hi, send a card, something. And so that's just part of my DNA, and I like that. I'm okay with that. And so I love helping out or doing whatever I can when it comes to philanthropy. So I don't mind going to a soup kitchen. I don't mind, if the church says bake some cookies. I don't mind having blankets or doing things for soldiers or their wives when they're not there, because I've been on that side. I was a military wife for a while, so I understand that need, and so that's just, again, my DNA. So it is part of who I am, and I can't imagine my life without that piece.
Do you find isn't it amazing to you that that's so much part of the quilting world that it does not shock me, because that's what they do, right? One of the first things you do is, I'm going to make this blanket for. Yeah. And it's always someone. It's never themselves. Right. So it does not surprise me at all. It's part of their DNA. Yeah. It does not shock me. It's weird. It's really interesting. One of our guests said that you sew it, but that there's a little bit of love that you add to the fabric. That's part of what's happening, is that it's more than just the blanket. It's like you're sending out a bit of love into the world.
It is way more than just it is not just the blanket. It is what's behind the blanket, why you made that blanket, what were you thinking when you made that blanket, and the reason you're giving it to someone. Absolutely.
All right, so so you sent me an email, and one of the things you said is you have to get over the fear and embrace the mistakes that will be made, and that's what a good seam ripper is for. Or people call it unsewing, which is ridiculous. Unsewing. I do a lot of unsewing. Tell me about your philosophy. Do you have thought about that, any more thoughts about the whole, it's okay to rip things out? Do you ever throw things out? Like, do you ever just be like, okay, this is so not going the way it needs to go. It has to just go away.
I haven't done that yet, but being new, I'm sure that might be in my journey. But I guess right off the bat, I was doing a not reading the directions correctly.
Yeah.
I was doing a block of the month with Pat Sloan, right, on Facebook, and she was doing a winter solstice blanket. Unbeknownst to me, because I did not read I just saw the different blankets, and this is where I was learning about the HSTs and different things like that, right, the basics.
Yeah.
And I did not read where this was going to be a very large blanket. But I kept going, right? It was just out of sheer tenacity. It was like, I'm going to finish this. I don't know how big this thing is, but I'm going to finish it. And so I learned there I had this love-hate relationship with what I call my favorite utensil, Jack the seam ripper. And so and so me and Jack have a really good relationship now. Some days we're really on, yeah, Jack the Ripper is what I call it. So some days we're really good, and the other days we just seem to be stuck at the hip with each other. But again, it's a process, right? It's just, you got to learn it. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's not like I'm trying to win the road show first prize, right? It's what am I doing? What is the purpose behind this? Yeah. And that's what I have to keep my perspective.
Now, do you ever feel like you have any kind of like self-hate or self-doubt or feel bad about yourself when you make a mistake, or are you just really pragmatic about it? Are you just like, I made a mistake, just gotta get Jack and rip it out, and I'm not judging myself? Do you have any like self-judging?
Yeah, at beginning I did, and I had to have a conversation with myself. I said, if you keep this up, this will not be enjoyable, right? You have to enjoy it.
You have to enjoy it. Right. This is not work. Right.
Exactly. It's okay. It really is okay. So when I got to that point, it was like, okay, and then I'll see myself doing something. I'm going, okay, Jeanette, you saw that wrong, right? And I was like, okay, then I go looking for Jack.
Go looking for Jack.
And just rip out and keep going.
I really like that. Oh my goodness, you're making my day. Yeah, I often so I have this new strategy because I've been getting these people have sent us samples, which is really awesome, and a lot of them are for beginners, and they're really basic and they're great. And I think and one of our guests said, well, it's also because a lot of times people who are sew when they're tired, right? And I always sew when I'm like so extraordinarily tired that I should just be in bed, but I don't want to go to bed. So like the tired quilter, and I swear the next morning I'm ripping out everything I did the next day. I just it's ridiculous,
Yeah. So I know you have a full-time job, right? And you love, but this is the creative part of you. Same thing here. I have a full-time job. I also travel with my job, and I have ailing parents.
Me too.
And so I have to find a way where when I get into that situation, when I know I'm really exhausted, I don't go anywhere near cutting or sewing fabric. Now, I may clean up the little area where I am and say, okay, you need to get the dust bunnies out or put together your scissors because, you kind of tidy up and then figure out maybe what I'll do the next day. Yeah. But I try to make it a business of spending at least 5 to 10 minutes a day in my sewing area. And that's nice. After work or after I've come back in from traveling or something. Yeah. If I can, I'll try to take something with me. But when I know I'm exhausted, that's when I know I'm at my worst. And
the worst is when you're exhausted, you said cutting. The worst for me is cutting because I am so bad at cutting when I'm like, it's like I'm drunk. Like I go back the next day and I'm like, how could you have thought that was 2.5? It's like, 1 3/4 or something like that. It's like, of course it's a mess.
Yeah, I'll put those aside. I'll go no cutting or sewing because you're exhausted and you're just tired. But what can you do? Right. Like maybe you can think about getting the fabric ready for tomorrow for something else you're going to do or something like that. But no cutting or sewing. There are times when that's just it's just too late or I'm too tired.
It's like I need a breathalyzer or something. More. I need like a breathalyzer, like a quiltalyzer. Like you're not able to go over to that sewing machine. You got to go sleep for a while. Ridiculous.
Yeah. put down that sewing
Right.
machine.
Yes.
Put the cutters away. Leave them
That's
alone.
right. That's right. That's right. It's so funny.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have to ask you a really important question. Did you make the blanket for your husband?
I did. I finished it. It was a one of the sports teams, and so I had already completed the one side and had it all tied up. And then he says, "Well, honey, I'd like it a little larger." So I finally got that finished. It is huge, but he absolutely adores it.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, this was his design. This is what he wanted. He's happy. That's good. That's all I care about. He's happy.
I love it. Well, this is so great. Any advice to beginning quilters? Let me ask you a real question. What fabric where do you buy fabric? Do you buy it all over the place or certain places? Do you think it matters, the quality?
I buy it all over the place.
Yeah.
I tried to visit the stores that actually have it, but here, unfortunately, look like in our area, we're starting to lose a lot more of the stores than we had, which is scary.
Yeah.
But I do my best to try to get to the actual stores where that's all they sell.
Yeah.
But if I find it somewhere else, a big box store, I will go there. And then I'm starting to learn. My quilt guild are kind of like my big sisters, right?
Yeah.
So it was funny. I was in one of the stores that sell just fabric and sewing machines, and one of my quilt sisters came in, and I just happened to be talking to the lady at the desk, and she said, "Well, what are you looking for?" I said, "I'm looking for rocks." And she just looked at me, and I said, "I'm looking for material that looks like rocks."
Yeah.
And so my friend walked in. She says, "I have lots of rocks. Come follow me home, and we'll go get you some rocks." Right? So,
I love it.
So even with my quilting sisters, when it's something I can't find, they have hundreds of years of experience and know way more than I do. So I go, "Why are you breaking? Go ask someone," right? And so that's what I do. I will ask them, and then I feel bold enough now that I'm in one of the friendship groups. So they have friendship groups in the quilting guild, right? One of the things I wanted to do more of was the art quilt. Mm-hmm. So just by asking and there's an interest that in our guild there's a group wants to get started in the evenings, right? Because I work once a month together to start doing art quilts and talking about art quilts and finding, start learning from each other. So I would have never thought that I'd be doing something like this 2 years ago. There's just no way. Yeah. Somebody looked at me and I said, "You're crazy." So I was like, okay, fear, absolutely. What do I know? Maybe not a lot, but all of us together collectively, we can do this, right? Yeah. And so that's what I say. Just go try it. Go do it. Join the classes. Get online to some of the courses if you can. Learn as much as you can while you can, so you can do whatever it is you want to do, because it is your hobby. I would love to maybe one day do this. It'll be a while, but if I retire, I'd love to see maybe going to finding something where I'm good at teaching it, or giving a class, or going to speak about something. Yeah. I'd love to do that. I get a kick out of stuff like that, just doing what I do now, like the crocheting and knitting, but I don't know. I don't know if it's in my future or not, but we'll see. This one picture I'm doing now, I never thought I'd even try, but I'm putting it as a pattern. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out.
That's awesome.
You just have to try.
Now, do you think you're going to go QuiltCon? I think is QuiltCon been already, or is it soon? QuiltCon
is in the next couple of weeks, and I've never been, so I'm excited. I'm going.
You going?
A friend of mine next. Yes, I am going. I will be there. I am so excited.
Cool. Hey, well, will you, we'll chat more once we turn off the recording, but I would love for you to come back and give us a field trip report on QuiltCon, because we're not going to get out of there.
I'd love to. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great. So take some pictures and come back and tell us about it, because it would be great. Now, for those that don't know, QuiltCon's the Modern Quilt Association's show. So it's more it's brighter, it's just like, if you don't know what modern quilting is, look it up. It's got it's like solid colors often. It's kind of very crisp looking. It's not it uses some traditional blocks, a lot of negative space,
right.
But it's like a thing. It's a big deal. And QuiltCon is the conference, and it's in Pasadena this year.
Yeah.
Right?
So I will be there, and I will be more than happy to be your local reporter.
I love it. Fantastic. I love it. Well, we don't